Brian, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for joining us again this month. Great pod, interesting people, different views, a little bit of a West Coast flavor, but for the most part, interesting nonetheless. We kick it off with Brian Hale, who is, co-owners of Hale Glass, but also the current chair of the NGA. And a great guy, great sense of humor. Followed it up with Merv Campbell of Omni, who they're doing really neat things with safety and transport of materials, both in a warehouse and on site. Interesting backstory, too, coming from Northern Ireland and Northern California. And then we wrap it up with an update from the guys from Drafting Marketplace and some of the new news that they have going on. So please check this out. Thank you for being here. And obviously, if you're listening, there's a possibility you're going to Atlanta. You're listening to this a couple days ahead of Glass Build America, or you've gone to Atlanta and you're listening to it on the way back. But Glass Build is this week. It is a huge show. It's going to be amazing. And we will recap it in more detail on my blog and on future podcasts. But I hope you're there. I hope you're at Glass Build. And if you're listening to this before the show, look for this ugly mug on the show floor. I'd love to say hi. Always looking for podcast guests, too. It's tough to do this every month and getting 2 and 3 people up here, and always interested in learning about different people and different things. So please, hit me up, look for me on the floor. All right, enough of me. That's not why you're listening. You're listening to hear some of these great guests. We're going to kick it off with Brian Hale. Here we go. Okay, next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I'm honored to be joined by Brian Hale, president of Hale Glass. You can find them online at haleglass.com. He's also the chair of the National Glass Association for this year, wrapping up his term here at Glass Build. Great honor to have you on the show, Brian. Thanks so much for doing the podcast.
My pleasure, and nice to see you again. Look forward to seeing you in person shortly.
Exactly. We're recording this right before Glass Build, and hopefully everybody's listening to this right before Glass Build. We're going to get to Glass Build in a second, but starting off with you, Brian, I know you a little bit. I don't know you a lot, so I'm going to learn a little bit. A lot of you're a very popular person in this industry, so some people will be excited to hear this. Some people will want to know what's going on. You and Gloria, your wife, started Hale Glass 45 years ago. Just celebrated the big company anniversary.
Yep.
Before we dig into that, though, let's talk about you. How did you end up getting into the glass industry, starting a glass business? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? A little bit of a backstory of Brian Hale.
All right, I'll try to keep it short. I was born in Detroit and raised in Detroit, along with my at-time girlfriend, now my darling wife.
Wow.
I graduated high school in 1970, and I really wasn't a college guy. I don't know if my parents had the money. My dad happened to be a glazer, so the automatic thing was to get me a job I started out, as just doing labor, but in the commercial glass industry.
In Detroit?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you because I live outside of Detroit, so I'm already learning something. I did not realize that you were born in Detroit.
Oh,
so,
really?
No,
I didn't know you were born.
I was born in Pittsburgh, moved to Detroit in 97. And I've been here since 97. But where'd you go to high school in Detroit? Did you go to City High School in Detroit?
Actually, I just lived in Detroit until I was about 10. Then I grew up in the suburbs in a little city that, even if you're from Michigan, people don't necessarily know what Garden City, Michigan is. But near Wayne.
Yep, Wayne County. My first house in Michigan was in Canton, right next to Garden City. So I know.
I used to live in Canton.
Yep. So, oh my gosh, we're off the tracks already. So your dad was a glazer in the Metro Detroit area.
Yep, and at West Detroit Glass, they were huge in the Midwest at the time.
Yes.
And so I started there, and I officially got in the commercial glass industry in December of 1970.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've only done one thing since. That's commercial glass.
Love it.
But I will tell you a little quick story on how we got to California.
Yeah.
Working from the time I was 18 out in the cold, I always thought to myself, I got to get out of here. I'm moving to California. So I had told everybody, when I get my journeyman card, I'm moving. My father had got sick and passed away. So instead of moving in 73 or 4, I moved in actually January of 1977.
Okay.
So, and I just came to get out of the weather, but 14 months later, one thing led to another, and we had Hale Glass.
Amazing.
But this fun little story, I want to tell you how we got to Anaheim per se.
Yeah.
And that was, we knew we were moving, everybody was good to go. And so it was time to quit talking about the different cities in California and go to AAA and get a map. We still couldn't make our mind up, but some friends had been to Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
So we thought, you know what, let's just pick out Anaheim and we'll get there and we'll figure it out. Well,
Wow.
since that day in January of 1977, we've either owned a business or lived in the city. So that's how we
Incredible.
got
See,
here.
and talk about learning things. I did not know that West Detroit Glass, for those who aren't from, was a iconic company in the Detroit area, very powerful. And then you obviously, going cross country, especially in '77 when interest rates were through the roof. That was a challenging move, but it was you bet on yourself obviously and started Hale Glass. And let's morph into talking about Hale Glass. You're in the commercial glass space. Talk about what you guys do and have done for the last 45 years.
Well, we're just we try to stay in our lane. We've thought about maybe learning and mastering auto doors, and we do glass railing now, but for a long time we didn't do it. We just wanted to do what I knew, and that was my comfort level. No matter what happened, no matter what the catastrophe was, I was personally capable of handling any situation because I was with what we did, commercial and industrial curtain wall and storefront. So that's how we got there, and that's all we've done. I think we did a residential one time, maybe 2 or 3 years in, one and done with that. I was outside my lane. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I
little
don't blame you.
embarrassing. You put the self-adherent flashing on, and you put it in a special order. The bottom first, and the sides and the top. I didn't even know that.
I love it. I love it.
I was so commercial oriented. I didn't even know about putting flashing paper on a nail-on window.
Well, you knew what you were good at, so you stuck with it. So good. So it's been a heck of a run. What do you think, is the biggest thing that has changed from now back to then? What's the biggest change?
From the early glazing days?
The early days of Hale Glass. I mean, obviously there's the obvious technology aspect. I mean, you were probably placing orders, by phone or mailing them in, sort of thing. And now everything is lightning fast. But the whole trade. What's the biggest difference between 1978, when you got Hale Glass rolling to now?
The two big things, obviously, energy conservation, and I had been a blow-e and insulated glass and so forth.
Right.
And then the other one that we're very, very involved in from a company standpoint is safety. I can remember working on a swing stage in 1972 or 30 stories up, and it was just a single 3/4 inch rope and a strap around your waist, and that was it.
Yeah.
So now, it's like the parachute, the whole harness, the whole thing. So if you fall, you're actually safe. So I don't know if you fall closer to the top, if it doesn't stretch much and your head hits your knees, or I don't know what the situation was, but fortunately that didn't happen. But so safety, we're proud of our EMR, which is always below par. So we're very, very strict here about safety, and we wear gauntlets, for example, regardless of the glass.
Okay.
And we even have a set for any truck driver that shows up in case he didn't bring his. And all our suppliers know you have to wear gauntlets because I've seen gauntlets save people. Now, of course, we handle mostly tempered glass like everybody else,
right,
for safety reasons and the temperature differential on the heat absorption of all the low E coatings and so forth. So back in the raw glass days, I've seen a couple of bones exposed, and all shoulders, everything inside a gauntlet, if you will. So even though it's mostly tempered, that's still 5 or 6 in gloves. There's still 5 or 6 stitches to the hand or arm with that initial, if you're within the first 3 or 4 inches of that initial release of pressure. So we're real serious about it.
It still can do some damage, and it's funny that you said that because NGA is celebrating their 75th anniversary, and as they were asking for pictures of your companies in the olden days, sort of thing, within the last 75 years, I got some pictures from our company back in, it was probably 81, 82. And I was afraid to actually send them in because not one guy's wearing a stitch of PPE, Brian. There's a guy working the polisher in flip-flops. He's wearing flip-flops. Not even steel toe or tennis shoes. Flip-flops. What a difference, the world is now. And thankfully,
for the better.
For the better. Absolutely. For the better. No doubt. So let's talk a little bit about challenges. It's interesting. You're the chair of the NGA this year. You're running your own company, doing a great job, obviously. But there's so many challenges. What do you think's the biggest challenges that we're facing as a glass and glazing industry right now?
Right now, well, when you talk about when you've been in business 45 years, it seems to be this cycle.
Yes.
So it's like, where do you pick in this curve? Where are we now? And there's some similarities. Of course, the differences seem to be the old easy days of incoming and outgoing recessions. You could see them, you could read them, you could time them. They were gentle curves up and down to, of course, the big one in 9-10.
Right.
That was a straight down. And recessions are a funny thing because it's really not about the depth, it's about the width. Well, that one was uniquely deep and uniquely wide, 3.5 years. So, and who's to say whether that happens again or not? And to say, oh, things are really different now, and they do seem to be a little out of kilter than what you're used to. But for the most part, running and owning business, I don't think ever changes. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be opportunities. We were just coming off a great 3 or 4 or 5 year run, actually 13, 14, 15 through COVID, where it was a good place to be in the glass business. So, and we've certainly had our share. It's like, why are we doing this? So we're no different than anybody else. We've lost money and we made a ton of money and lost some money. So, although as we get older, we definitely get smarter. That's for sure.
Well, you learn.
And let me tell you one more thing about being in business a long time. And you had mentioned my wife, Gloria, who her and I started the business 45 years ago, still work together every day, still happily married, love her dearly.
Nice.
But she's the brains of the operation. I want to make sure she gets the credit because without her, I'd still be selling glass out of the back of my hippie van, I'm sure.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Yeah, she's awesome, and I'm glad you guys are a heck of a team, and have meant so much to this glass industry. And it is funny that you talked about you used to know what to expect with the recessions. I think COVID completely blew all of that up now because we just don't know anymore. Like all conventional wisdom's out the window. Do you think that that's the case, or it's just a kind of a funky world we're in?
No, I do believe, and I say it often, and whatever the situation is, COVID screwed everything up.
Yeah.
So, including the workforce.
Yes.
There are some differences like never before. There's no arguing that. But I would assume, I probably said that in 81, during the oil embargo and stuff. That was unforeseen and unknown. But I bought a house, the interest rate was 18%. I had a used truck, it was 27%. So we've not seen that since. But so it's just the ebb and flow, and you got to be ready to move with it. You can't anticipate it or think, oh, we're so smart, we see it coming, we're going to do this or that. But we try now. There is a little more foresight, and that's based on sheer doing this forever.
Sure.
You learn as you mature. So.
Yeah, you got to feel. This is cool. I'm with Brian Hale, president of Hale Glass. You can see them online at haleglass.com. Great company, great organization. You're going to mix it up a fun one. And for you, I associate you with fun because I find your sense of humor the best. I will tell you that.
Sweet.
I love your sense of humor. And I even when I wrote you, what I was thinking about talking to you, you did a monologue at the first GEF right after COVID, which was a challenging GEF. People are a little nervous to be there. It absolutely was the greatest monologue and delivery I've ever seen. And it put everybody in the audience who was a little skittish of, okay, we're all back together. What's going to happen here? It put everybody at ease. So so the fun question for you is, who's your all-time favorite comedian and why?
Well, it's funny as I wrote them down because I actually put 2 down.
Yeah.
Because again, as time passes, things are relevant. So the first one, of course, was George Carlin.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And for the same reason I like Dave Chappelle so much, is because they're uncensored. They're not necessarily raw like a Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But certainly they tell it the way it is without a filter and so relative, like the 7 words you can't see on television, or that monologue we all heard about Dave Chappelle did during this transgender, all the letters. I don't know all, but anyway, that was so relative at the time too. So
yeah, and I'm a big Chappelle fan and loved obviously Carlin and great taste there. And Chappelle is amazing comic, amazing. Yeah, and deep, very deep too, which deep and funny. He delivers. I love it. Very good, very good. You don't disappoint there, and they'd be proud of you too. If Carlin was alive, and Chappelle, they'd be proud of the way you keep us all at least top.
Well, that's kind of you to say. I like being happy and I like being funny, so it's just a nice way to go through life. Is I try to find humor in everything, and I usually will swing at it, which can sometimes, about 20% of the time, it's like that was stupid. but most of the time they hit. So I'm
Hey,
always swinging. I don't care.
well, yeah, you know what? You swung back in the '70s to move to California.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, start your own business, pay 28% interest rate on a truck. You've been betting on yourself for a while, my friend. It makes sense.
Thanks.
So one of the things I love that you guys do, you just did it here recently, is you partner with the Red Cross every year to
Yes.
do an annual blood drive, and I think this is amazing. I full credit and I salute you guys. How did this all come about? What drove this annual blood drive Hale Glass does?
In 2009, I had some back surgery and I had some complications, and it's a long story. I will keep it real short. Bottom line is, on my fourth ambulance trip to the hospital every Monday for a month, it was because I had some complications with the medication, internal bleeding. Keep it short.
Yeah.
I was down 4 pints of blood. I can remember collapsing at home and hearing the ambulance in the different distance. I wasn't sure what was wrong, but I'm thinking, I've never really paid attention to an ambulance in the distance so much as I did that day. But
Wow.
anyway, so I went to the hospital and I was really touched. Race, creed, color, religion, bad guy, good guy. When you need blood in America, it's at your instant disposal. That's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
So for that reason, the first year we decided, hey, let's just call it Replace Brian's Blood as a kind gesture. And
Yeah.
then after that, it went so good, and we were really into it. We just changed it because it was near 9/11. We now represent it as don't ever forget about 9/11. So,
Great, great. And you do
and
it
we
you
just
do it every
after this
year?
one,
Yeah.
what's that?
You do it every year, and it looked like it was a
Yep.
packed house this year too. I saw some of the video. It looked great.
It was a packed house. We got 55 pints, which is a big number for one
Wow.
day.
Wow.
Which is equating to this is our 14th year, to 71 gallons of blood is what we've
Incredible.
collected.
Incredible. The amount
Which
of
is a lot.
lives that are improved and saved by you and the folks there. Kudos. That's awesome. That's
We
absolutely awesome.
love giving blood, and Gloria, who's very needle shy, does her job by doing all the coordination. We rent a tent, we have a taco truck, we serve some breakfast versions of croissants and stuff in the morning. So sometimes we have a little band or a magician or something. So we just try to keep it lively, and she puts the time and effort into it, which included, because those two buses we needed two are so noisy with the generators.
Yeah.
We spent the money on adding the specific 220 plug that those things plug into. So now they can plug in. It's a much quieter, enjoyable event. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
we like giving back, and that's a good way to do it.
I love it. And you had the music going this year. The video I saw had Fleetwood Mac going in the background, which was awesome. So I loved that. And so very, very cool. I love it. So Brian Hale Glass is my guest here on the From the Fabricator podcast. A few more questions. Glass build coming up. Those that are listening to this here at the end of October, we'll see you walking the floor. We'll see me walking the floor. Those who for some reason would miss this event, probably need to check themselves, because you can't miss this event. So I'm curious, pre you even getting involved at the heavier levels of NGA, you always attended events like this. Talk about the importance of events like Glass Build, and why, if somebody's listening to this now and within driving distance of Atlanta, why they should come.
Well, actually, we've been a NGA member for over 40 years. So I think early on we recognized what it's like to have accurate, updated information at your disposal. Even like today, now, myglassclass.com. We're just adding myfabricator.com.
Right.
There's advocacy. There is, I made a little list here because there's so much. Like for our Glazer Executive Forum the day before Glass Build, they're going to go over with Matt Kramer about the work done on the installation committee. There's a report on that. Real world risk management, love those, because those are all true stories.
Yeah.
And if you don't do anything else but go there to listen to that, you're going to save yourself 10 times the cost of being an NGA member, because it's going to be like, oh, I remember that story, and I remember, I'm glad I heard it. There is glass handling evaluations on the most newest equipment and safety and labor. So the list goes on and on. But and then the final part of the Glazers Executive Forum, our keynote speaker, I've introduced him several times, Connor Lockhart.
Yeah.
And he's an economist, and he gives, and I'm sure everybody, this ain't the NGA save all, but it's nice to have him. And of course, like all of those, we've all gone to somewhere. There's a chart of their past accuracy, their predictions and reality. And those are pretty spot on. So it's nice to know when you're asking me what about the future and my guess, this guy is going to base it on hard documented facts for decades and what to expect. So that's another good thing.
And his delivery,
camaraderie.
Yeah, and his delivery is incredible. I mean, if you haven't seen the guy, he's not like the typical economist.
No, he looks 15, so that's how he. And maybe I'm ruining the joke.
No,
because the first thing he starts and introduces us, and he said, "First of all, I want everybody to know my parents know I'm here." So, and he goes on funny from that. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
But also, just meeting with other glass shop owners, you don't realize when you're on an island, if you will, and maybe you know a guy in the industry. But this, you get to meet everybody, and there's so many similarities and just camaraderie, stories, comparisons. Hey, have you ever seen this? What'd you do? It is the best to be with like people, like-minded in your industry, and to be able to bounce stuff on and off them. It's really good. And we obviously, a lot of that conversation's in the hallway or when the meeting's over and we're out doing our thing. Usually having a glass of chocolate milk or something.
Exactly.
We'll exchange. Maybe it's more than that, but anyway.
You can't beat the networking. You can't beat the networking. You can't beat the opportunity to talk to somebody. And there's been people. There's a glazer from West Virginia that came a couple years ago. I think it was 2021. It was his first show, and he in first GEF. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe the ability to chat with somebody from Florida, chat with somebody from California, and the fact that they were so willing to compare notes. Sort of thing and best practices. I'm like, that's this industry. That's the way we are. You could sit down and chat with somebody like that and say, hey, I have this situation. What do you do? And I'm like, I do this. And it's really an underrated aspect that when people attend, they could get so much out of it. So much out of it.
I ran into a guy, we became friends, and now we fish together. He lives in Montana. So, you get to talking about these different stories, and there's other glazing people that I just got back from a sponsored event up in the High Sierras in Northern California.
Nice.
And there were 5 or 6 glass shop owners there and some sealant guys. So it is, and I've got to know them initially. And that's how I got involved with that. I knew them initially from the different events that NGA puts on. So
love it.
It's great.
Very, very cool. It's just, go ahead.
In case it doesn't come up, I want to give credit where it's due. I gave my wife some credit, and we're talking about NGA. If you don't mention Nicole Harris, you're missing out.
Yeah.
What a unbelievable, intelligent, she make that NGA what it is today. I'm there as a figurehead. I accomplished a few things. You only got a year, and everybody takes a shot at it. But her constant daily doesn't miss a trick. Foresight.
Yeah.
She is an amazing person, and I'm proud to know her and proud to be on the board with her.
I am too. Definitely proud to know her, and I've always said that she's on a different level than the rest of us humans. She's just she is. She thinks differently, and there are things that she'll say, "How about this?" And you're like, "Holy crap, that's unbelievable!" It just you're like. It's just always top notch, and she's just a cool person too. She's
cool,
really, really cool person.
And now she lives not too far from us, and every now and then we go out her way or she comes our way, and with her husband David, and we have dinner.
And again, her husband's a great guy, great person to go to dinner with too.
He's interesting,
very interesting, one of my favorite dinner partners out there. So a couple more questions before I let you go. Brian Hale of Hale Glass, see them online at haleglass.com. And Brian also just spent this last year as the chair of the National Glass Association. And I'm curious, the year goes pretty fast, obviously.
It sure does.
It flies by. What are you most proud of accomplishing this year?
Well, I don't know if I got it accomplished, but I got something done. And I want to increase membership. We have about 1,800 members. And I think in the world it's somewhere between 17 and 18,000 glass shops. So that's 10%, which sounds like, boy, that's not very much. But remember, we're counting every glass shop.
Yep.
So I have family in Tennessee, and there happens to be a little tiny, they got 1 glass truck and 2 guys. Maybe NGA's out of their budget. So they're not, so I think there's X amount that's really, under there. But most of our members are $2-3 million companies.
Yeah.
So
So I think you accomplished that. And I think that, I mean, a big thing for sure is the membership, but then, My Glass Fab getting ready to launch here
Oh my
at
God.
Glass Build, and then the growth of My Glass, My Glass class has been incredible. And you've been a big part of that, both on the board and then climbing the board to your current chair position here. So congrats and kudos to you
Thanks.
and Gloria for everything you're doing here.
Yeah, they wanted my input on the commercial part, and there's plenty of qualified people, but I was on the board. We've got different divisions on the board, from suppliers to full service glass companies, which we're not. We don't do walk-in. We don't even have a cutting table.
Right.
And then everything in between. So it's it's a nice group of people, and it's like I say, you want members, but you don't want to necessarily just have a membership drive, because we want retainable members. So
Yeah.
we reached out to them,
Nope.
the ones we thought were, and we got a few. So
Yep.
and I have help from the board too.
Job well done, and we'll keep rolling. We won't let you down going forward. That's for
Good.
sure. We won't let you down. All right. So last but not least, you talked a little bit about kind of the forecasting and market. Connor Locar is going to supply some insight. You also know from being around 45 plus years, even from the West Detroit days, kind of what to see. What are you feeling right now? I mean, it's weird. Some people I talk to are big time negative, and then some are more on that cautious optimist side. Like, you know what, it was supposed to be bad by now. We've hung in there. What are you feeling right now?
Well, there you go. COVID again.
Yeah.
Screwed everything up.
Yeah.
So it's really making it hard. We are hiring, just the way last year, like I said, it was tough. This year we're hiring, and we're hiring. It's all of a sudden easy. Well, normally it's impossible, because there are X amount of glass shops in Southern California that are either slow or in between significantly enough to reduce their staff a little bit, like we had to do 18 months ago. So our backlog's good. We're hiring. I just spent some time with some glazers, as I said, 5 days with them, and they're busy, most of them.
Good.
So I think the future in glass, everybody likes daylight. We did among the things we like to promote is you learn better, you heal better. You feel better when there's natural daylighting. You always want to promote that type of thing.
Absolutely. You've done a great job, and I'm excited to see how things continue to go. And Brian Hale Glass, you can find him online at haleglass.com. Thank you so much for doing the podcast, and I can't wait to see you in person here in a few days in Atlanta.
Looking forward to it. It won't be long. I'll buy you a chocolate milk.
You're on. Love it.
Right.
And I'll probably be the only one who actually wants the chocolate milk too. That's the fun. Exactly. Those who know me right now be like, yeah, of course, he'll want the chocolate milk.
What else is there? Right.
There you go. Thank you,
Max.
sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and listening to me and let me share a little bit of wisdom. So
I can do it all day long. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks. See ya. Bye-bye.
Okay. Now I've got a pretty good thrill for me. I'm with Merv Campbell, General Manager at OmniCubed. You can find them online at omnicubed.com. That's OMNICUBED.com. Neat company, cool people, and great products. And Merv is a trip. I've got to talk to him once. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I think everybody will enjoy this as well. Merv, thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. It's an absolute privilege to be here. If you don't understand my accent, I hope there is subtitles at the bottom of this.
No
if
subtitles.
Not, it's a further reason to call OmniCubed and say, hey, what was that Irish guy talking about? What's going on here? But no, it's a privilege to be here and to talk to you, sir. Appreciate it.
I love it. Well, we're going to get to know you. We're going to get to know the products, and people will get to see you at Glass Build and see your products as well. And that's what this podcast. So a lot of folks that are listening to this right now are on their way to Atlanta, and they're looking forward to seeing what they can see on the show floor, and they're going to see OmniCubed. So let's start with you, Merv. Obviously, interesting past. How did you make it from growing up overseas and now to California and GM at OmniCubed? Give me a little bit of your past history and your path.
So I grew up in Ireland, as you can tell. I lived there for 34 years with my parents. I'm an only child. I was not spoiled, in case anyone's like, oh, he's got only child syndrome. But no, I didn't have that. At an early age, my parents were both pretty sick for most of my life and still are. And they still live there. I grew up, I loved taking things apart, putting things back together. I got that primarily from my grandfather on my dad's side, who was, we called him a hoarder, but it was actually pretty neat because he hoarded a lot of clocks, a lot of watches. We loved going to his house on a Saturday because we could take things apart and put it all back together. So that was a real hoot.
I love it.
And then at a young age, I did some engineering courses as kind of a young teenager, just on my own. And then at the age of 16, tried to become an aeronautical engineer,
Okay.
passed all the tests and exams, and started working for Bombardier Aerospace. I served it was supposed to be an 8-year apprenticeship. I put my foot down, got it finished in 4.
Nice.
Just basically poured myself into that, and then qualified as an aero engineer. Unfortunately, September the 11th happened, and of course, aerospace took a grave hit. And they basically closed down the plant that was in Northern Ireland, and
Okay.
moved it back to France again. I then was like, oh, what do I do with my life? I tried welding. I was a welder for 2 years. And then I fell in with a bus company in Northern Ireland, in Ballymena, called Wright Bus. And
Okay.
at that time, they were starting to prototype hydrogen buses. So we were looking at powering them not by regular gas or anything, but by hydrogen power. And I got into that team, really enjoyed it, stayed there for 11 years. And
Okay.
then my wife and I decided, she's originally from California, from Placerville, which is like 10 minutes up the road. Her family's there. She's one of 8. She was very homesick. So we made the decision, me and my wife and 2 kids, hey, let's move to the States. Didn't know what I was going to do when I
Wow.
got here. Just stood up, walked off the plane and went, I'm here. Let's do something.
I love it.
I got in with an electrical contractor in the Bay Area in San Francisco, worked there for about 9 months, and then got a phone call from Derek, who's the CEO, who's my boss. We have family connections, and he asked if I would come round, look at the facility they have here. I, I'll be honest, I thought he was inviting me to a barbecue. He is the best barbecuer that you will see
Okay.
in North America. He is phenomenal. I thought I was going to get inviting there. And then we came upstairs and he said, hey, would you like to work here? And I was like, oh, yes, I would. Walked around, was blown away with the facility, how clean, friendly, organized everything was. And I was like, I really would love to work here. Offered me the job. 8 years later, I'm here. I came in as the assembly manager, then the production manager, and now I'm the general manager. We have a phenomenal team here.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just one of many amazing, amazing people. We say that we've got something strange in this building. We do, because it's like a family.
Yeah.
We care for one another, and that shows in our products, how we conduct ourselves. Just earlier this morning, a few guys helped me out with some problems I had. They took time, they helped. It was awesome. That's what we do. So that's basically where I am
Cool.
till today. So that's it in a
I,
nutshell.
I love it. I love it. And kudos, you're talking about some of your coworkers. I'm a big fan of Nadia, who works with you. She is
Yes,
hugely,
he's phenomenal.
she is
Yep.
hugely important in the glass build push and so on. And I did
Mm-hmm.
have to laugh over, your wife was homesick, wanted to come back to California. There's some similarities. My wife, when we got married, we moved to Pittsburgh, and she really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get back to Michigan. And
Okay.
so I can compare it, though. Pittsburgh to Michigan and Pennsylvania to Michigan, a little bit different than Northern
Yeah.
Ireland to Northern California.
Slightly.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
very,
my
very
my my legs still have not adjusted to the sun. When it comes summer, they all joke here and saying, "Where's the sunglasses? The white legs are right." But we're slowly getting there.
I love
But
it.
no, it's California. A lot of people leave it. I love it here.
Cool.
It's a beautiful area. Just I really like the people around
Good.
here too. It feels a little bit like home. So yeah.
Good. And you landed a good company. And what is got me going with you guys is OmniCubed is doing things to help our industry, help people stay safe, help people be more
Mhm.
productive and efficient. But I guess I should let you put it in your own words. Tell me and tell the audience, what does OmniCube do, and what's your product push here for the industry?
So OmniCubed has been around for 20 years. You probably saw in my cup, I got the 20-year anniversary sticker. These are the OmniCubed colors. I
Nice.
love Hydro Flask for it, bless her heart. The company's been around for 20 years, primarily with two families who started it. They were very keen on helping end users. So that has been the theme that has run through the organization from I've been here and from day one is we want to make really good tools,
Right.
but we also go and we talk to end users. So it's not like we just sit in the back room and go, ha, 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 let's make up this idea. We will go trade shows like we're going to next week are a phenomenal way to like interact with people, listen to their pain points. So I would say OmniCube's greatest thing is actually stopping and listening. A lot of times people won't do that. They'll just go, well, it's an idea. I'm just going to push it out, and if it sells, great.
Sure.
Not here. I think, and it all boils down to that family factor of we see our end users as actually our family.
Right.
And we want them to be safe and to be well looked after, and we want to provide them tools to do that. So that's the background, and that's sort of the real push at the minute for the glass industry, where we see it an ever aging thing. So it's not like anyone's getting any younger. There's no magic pills out there like Benjamin Button to take
Right.
anything back.
Right.
So it's how do we help these guys go home at night and enjoy their families, keep them safe, let them enjoy their weekends, that they're
Right.
not completely burnt out, that they don't basically have a life because it's all in the job. So that's kind of the thinking behind when we look at a tool and a product. Okay, how is this actually going to help someone? Is it going to help? And
Right.
if not, then okay, let's move on to the next one. What is the next one that will help? So that's primarily where we're at. We've evolved. We obviously make the first item, and then the customers get it, and they're awesome at coming back and saying, "You did this a little different. If you did that." Sometimes it's like, no, you can't have a cart that walks upstairs for you. You still have to do a little bit of work yourself. But primarily, we do listen, and we do put those things in we have a large list that we put in with improvements the next go around when we're looking at products.
So basically, you guys have invented and created, and now you sell, carts and equipment and manipulators in a way to move material from point A to point B. And I did notice that you serve a bunch of different industries, things that are heavy. But what is interesting is the glass, glass, like you said, you want these guys and gals to go home at night and not, be in pain, backs thrown out. And I've been impressed by some of the materials that you've put out that, help you, take that piece of 1/2 inch or a couple pieces of 1/2 inch. And yes, you wish you could have it go up the stairs for you, but at least move it, quite a bit from maybe the truck all the way into the job.
Correct.
It's made a huge difference versus people taking cups and carrying it all the way there and carrying it
Correct.
awkwardly.
Yeah, we've spoken to guys. So we're in the stone industry, the glass industry, and in the tile industry, large format and material. And we've talked to guys and gals that are out there moving these things. And I always remember the first ever trade show I got to go to. I went to shake a guy's hand and was like, "You look really strong, but your handshake was quite weak." And then very, very quickly realized that his bicep was down at his wrist.
Yeah.
And I think my facial expression that day, he was like, I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "I wished I had your cart 2 to 3 years ago."
Yeah. Yeah.
My life is, he basically said his life was ruined. There was tears in his eyes. He even, like, we got to talk to afterwards, and he said, I can't even lift my kid up with that arm because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just an arm, and that's what it does. So that has always stuck with me, that one guy. And that's the thought of, being, these guys are craftsmen. They are like gifted craftsmen. And we have to look after them. We have got to protect them. we can't wrap them in bubble wrap. We can only provide them with so much, but it's a case of, okay, think logically. If you're at a job site and you've got 30, 40, 50 yards over rough terrain, please do not carry that by your hands.
Right. Oh,
There are
absolutely.
tools, are tools out there that can help you and provide that support that you need. So yeah, we want them to think smarter in regards to think of yourself and not just, okay, I've got this job to do, let's do it and let's get paid and get out of here.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many times you can do that until it catches up with you.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm with Merv Campbell, general manager at OmniCube. You can see them online and all the products that Merv and I have been talking about at OmniCubed, all one word, omnicube.com. And that's why I find, our industry as being one that you cannot automate the installation side of our industry. That will we can create robots and we can create a lot of different things. Human power and human skill set is always going to be a part of it. And that's what, when I first saw your products, and again, kudos to Nadia, is that, hey, check this out. And it wasn't on my radar. So she put it on my radar. And I liked looking at it, and I liked saying, oh my gosh, it's for safety, it's for efficiency. And so now that brings us to Glass Build. You guys will be in booth 1009, 1009, 1009, however you want to call it. Merv and company will be there. And I know you'll have two new products there. You're going to be talking about two new products that you gave me kind of a heads up on, one for kind of inside the warehouse to move things around, and one for the job site. Talk a little bit about these things. I was really, really impressed with the thought that went into it, especially the terrain. There's one that I think you could take that thing to Baja and not have a problem getting around. It was very impressive.
There you go. Awesome. We are so excited. We got the privilege to go last year for the first time to Glass Build. Phenomenal show. We were dipping our toe in it. I came back, and so did one of the owners here, and we were like, we have got to make tools for these guys, specifically thinking about them and what the challenges are. We have two new carts. The first one is the Easy Glide glass dolly. It's got two 10-inch wheels. It's got a caster on the front. Gone are the days of putting stuff on piano dollies or the little channel carts that are out there. It's up off the ground. It's easy to maneuver. The main purpose of the cart itself is there are two guide rails along here. There's knobs underneath, and you're able to move the guide rails in and out to kind of the thickness of whatever you're going to be moving. So you're not pigeoned to, well, it doesn't fit in there. You've got versatility. You're able to go over different terrains. It's really, really good for the shop itself. If you're one that quick grab, set it on, move it where you got to go. That's really, really versatile. You can do donuts with it if you want. They are not skates. We've had some people saying, oh, I'd like to buy these for my kids as skates. And I'm like, no, you cannot. No. They are not designed like that. Also, in the package itself for that one cart, there's a strap that's going to come with it. And inside that strap, there's actually two blocks. And there's a little thumb tab. You press down, you're able to slide up the block. And it means then that you could walk away. That piece of material will stay totally fixed in the cart and up on the blocks.
Great.
So now you've got versatility. You've got a way that if it's one guy, he can set it on, he can maneuver it. If it's in today's society, his phone goes off and he lets go of everything and he wants to see who's texting or calling him. And you're like, look after the material. Right. So that's the Easy Glide cart. The one that you were talking about, the other one is called our TerraTrek glass cart. That thing will go over any terrain.
Looks like a perfect job site cart. Perfect job site cart.
It's exactly what it was. We got to go and do some videos and footage and testing with it at a job site. And they had on the ramp going up into the actual job site itself was kind of like a sandy, really fine grit. That was one terrain, totally breezed through it, no problem. We got further along. It then suddenly turned into this deep chasms of deep potholes and rocks and boulders and everything else. Breeze through that. We had a curb to go over, just pop a wheelie, lift it up, away you go. So it is an all-terrain cart that will go over any terrain. There are 2 vices. So there's a little push button. You push it in, you're able to maneuver those vices in and out. If your glass pane is slightly off, you're able to get the center of mass right in the middle of the cart. So there's no issues of tipping over or anything else. The cart comes in, there's knobs on the side. You turn that to get a really tight pinch. And again, it's going to come with 2 of the straps, and you're able to strap it in.
Nice.
So now you've got a cart if you need it in your shop. You've now got a cart when you're at your install site, and you're now protecting yourself in both locations. So again, safety was the key. Safety we're thinking about. You know, a lot of guys will lift it with the palm of their hands or whatever else. You know, like, seriously, pop it in the cart and wheel it.
Yeah.
Roll. It's our saying here. Roll when you can, every single time, and it saves a lot of pain. So those are our 2 carts. We are super excited to bring them. Stop by our booth. I'll be there. Alan, my other colleague, will be there. We are actually bringing our 2 engineers because, like I said earlier, we want to listen. We want to hear what people's feedback is. We want to know, is there any other tooling that people need in the market? And we are super excited to be there.
Super. Can't wait. This is great. And again, you can see them in booth 1009 at Glassbuild. I've got Merv Campbell, general manager of OmniCubed. Omnicube.com is their website. He is swamped with these product releases and getting ready for Glassbuild. So I got a couple more for you before I let you go. And every podcast I do a fun question. And for you're going to be the first person I've ever asked about archery. I noticed on your profile you're an archer, and so I saw that. I'm like, okay, that's the fun question. I got to get into this. Are you a professional archer? Do you compete? Talk to me about this. Are you doing like the William Tell thing, putting an apple on somebody's head and going at it? What's your archery background here?
So it kind of goes back to my younger days in Ireland.
Okay.
If you know anything of there, we're not really allowed to have bows like they have in America here.
Okay.
But as a young boy, me and my cousin Rodney, we would get bamboo because I would actually grow in Ireland. We'd get bamboo sticks, we'd steal our mum's twine, and we'd make bow and arrows out of that.
Homemade. Nice.
We had summers of fun with those things. We actually were able to harvest and maybe get a few animals that our parents don't know about. And I hope my mom doesn't watch this or I'm in big trouble. But anyways, we got some. I came here 8 years ago and my brother-in-law was into archery and I had never shot a bow in my life.
Wow.
So he said, okay, let's go to Bass Pro. Let's get you hooked up. Maybe you can get it for Christmas this year. We'll see. So I go to Bass Pro. I struggle big time trying to pull the string back. The lady who was helping us, she's sniggering and laughing at me, and I'm like, I am determined I am going to do this. So I pulled it back, and I released it, and I was hooked right away.
Nice.
The feel of just being able to take your time, get your breathing down, and shoot is like phenomenal for me.
Wonderful.
My three kids are into it.
Super.
My middle boy has a compound bow. My daughter has a recurve. She says compound bows are cheating. You've got to do it like how Robin Hood did it years ago.
Yes.
She's a better shot than I am.
I love it.
And then my 5-year-old has a Nerf bow that he has. So I have a range out the back of my house. I got 20, 40, 60, and then 100 yards. If it's been a hard day at work or it's been a stressful day, there's nothing like going home 30 or 40 arrows into a bag. And it's very, very relaxing for me. I find it really therapeutic. I'm not a competitor in any way, but I do like to compete with my kids.
I like it.
So we like to have some competitions. Like I said, my daughter's actually better at it than I am, but that's okay. We'll let her win sometimes. But no, I really enjoy it. It's a really fun sport to get into. and it's good for my kids because it's learning them some disciplines in regard to safety
Sure.
that you have to drill into them time and time again. So no, it's a fun,
Awesome.
it's a really cool thing. Yeah, if anyone wants to talk more about that, sure, I'll do more. But no, archery is a fun thing. I really enjoy it.
I love it. I love what I learned on this podcast. I think last
Yes.
year I had Dan Shields from Fabricator-s3-e12 Group. He's a 300 bowler. He's like a big time bowler. I've got you from the
There you
archery
go.
standpoint. We're gonna get an
That's
Olympic.
fun.
What were last month I had
We'll
an
get them.
I've had people on here that have these neat skills. We're gonna have a glass industry Olympics here
Awesome.
soon. This is great.
There you go.
I love
Next year. Let's get her done.
I love it. I love it.
That'd be cool.
Couple more questions. As a young guy, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
a ton younger than me, and I'm very curious, how do we get guys like you, younger guys and gals, in your age group, get them interested in our space? That's the thing that I worry about the most. You and I have talked about there is no Benjamin Button, pill here where we can all get younger. How do we attract the youngsters to our world? What can we do?
We have a motto in our company, and it's called "Give it all away." We have older people in our company, primarily our engineers who are older than us, and they are very, very proactive in giving away all of their knowledge to everyone else. We live in a society and a day and age where everyone wants to hold on to everything and don't want to tell anyone because they're afraid that the next guy is going to take their job,
Right.
or someone down the way is going to learn how they did it and maybe do it better. So it's getting over that fear, which we've told our engineers, there is no one like you, so please train the next generation. So that's where, for me as a general manager, even in this company, things that I learn, I tell my team.
Right.
My boss is the best at giving away all the information that he's gained over the years. We talked about archery and we joked about learning new things. Every single day that we walk through these doors, that I walk through them, I learn something new from him or from someone else. So it's being proactive and is giving that knowledge away. If you found a trick or a way of doing something better, tell people. Don't hide it, or don't well, if I tell them they'll get one up on me. No, we need to look at this industry more as brothers in arms than as individuals fighting against one another. And I think that is another key battleground to win. We have people who make products like ours. Look at our product, look at theirs, and then decide. I know you'll probably buy ours because it is what it is and it's better quality and everything else. But we have to be willing to link together and help these people, because if we don't, there is a void coming that a lot of industries are going to perhaps not disappear completely, but they're going to take a really hard hit. And so it's learning that next generation, and then even as parents. So I'm a dad of two boys. I look at my two boys and I'm like, I want you two to work with your hands and learn and grow like the way I did. Apprenticeship programs and on-hands training, and bringing people in to do skills in a manufacturing place. A lot of people young will look at that and go, I don't want to get dirty. There's nothing in that. Manufacturing is one of the most exciting industries to be in. It's like no day is the same. It's like every day is different. And that's what gets you out of bed in the morning off, okay, what's the challenge going to be this day? How do I overcome it? And then teaching that next generation. So spending time with my boys, here's a pocket watch we found at the thrift store. Take it apart. Let's see if you can put it back together again. My son, my 12-year-old's into RC cars an awful lot.
Nice.
And he started a little business. I hope the tax man is not listening to this, but he started a little business to fix RC cars.
Nice.
There's some friends, older people my age, we would race them around. They'd break. They're busy. Their time is precious. He wanted to fix them, so we said, hey, bring them to our house. We'll buy the parts. He fixes them up, sends them out again.
That's great.
So it's learning them at that level, and then investing in them, and then giving that knowledge. And I'm not that young. I may look at, I'm 40, I feel it. But I'm excited to the fact of there are a group of people where we live at in this corridor and on Highway 50 and down into Sacramento, which people may know, may not. But it's a very huge manufacturing place with a lot of very skilled and very talented people. And we're actually part of a program that promotes going into high schools to look for people to be able to bring them in maybe half a day a week, get them some hands-on experience. They'll be boxing, washing parts, they'll be putting some things together, but they're gaining that interest in the industry. And then when they get their whatever qualifications they're going to get, it may be in their mind of, manufacturing was cool. That company was really neat. Let's go see if they've got any jobs. So looking at that next generation is key. But like I said, give everything away, all the knowledge. We're not going to take it with us. We might as well leave it behind with someone. So
I like it. I like it. Good food for thought. Good food for thought. So I'm with Merv Campbell, General Manager, OmniCube. Find them online, omnicubed.com. That's OMNICUBED.com. And last question, business. Every guest I have, I always have to ask, how's it going right now? And what are you guys looking at for 2024? You optimistic, cautiously optimistic, worried? So talk about now and how you're looking for next year.
Business is, what would you say? It's kind of like a curve. I'll be totally honest. There are people who will say business is great. Business is fantastic. And you're going, I don't think it is, if you were to tell the truth. Business fluctuates like we all know. The last 3 years have been anything but the norm. It's been quite the roller coaster for a lot of companies. Some have folded, some have grown. We've went up, we've plateaued. We're steadily keeping everything going. We are supplying people with what we need. We notice that people are cautious with their spending. Hey, I am. I had a brisket in my shopping cart on Friday and put it back when I was like, "It's $100. No, thank you." So we're all cautious about what we're spending. So we are seeing a little downturn, but the caveat to that is glass in 2024 for us, with these two new carts, with getting our name out there a lot more. For me, I am super excited to see what 2024 holds. I know people are worried and everything else. I'm not. I'm excited. January 1st is not far around the corner. We get to click the calendar over another year. We are determined to help people in any way we can. So like you're saying, stop by our booth. Let us talk through not only these two products, but everything else, because we are just launching into the glass industry. So for us, we're super excited for 2024, see what it holds. We want to, like at the show, my thing is I want to talk to glazers and see, how is business for you? Where are your sore points?
Sure.
Because a lot of times they're turning down business because they don't have workers.
Right.
They have a lack of manpower. So that's where having equipment to help and aid and do these things. So if you can take a cart or a dolly with 2 people before you were taking 4 because it was so heavy and it was such a long way, well, by buying a cart at a couple of $1,000s, you've now doubled your workforce.
Yeah.
Without really realizing it. So it's getting that in their mind. So for me, I'm excited, cautious too. We don't know what's going to hold, but we go into it with excitement, with anticipation, ready to aid the industry in any way possible that we can. So yeah,
it's a great take. Thank you for the honesty and the insight there. That is perfect. I forgot to mention early on, you will be at the Glazing Executives Forum speaking on a panel as well, and so that'll be very cool. So those that are attending the Glazing Executives Forum, you'll get to see Merv, get to talk to him up close. So you could either see him in the booth at booth 1009, see him at GEF, the Glazing Executive Forum, see him bebopping around the show, signing autographs. He'll be having an archery display somewhere along there. We might have that set up there, but thank you, my friend. Thank you for doing the podcast. Look forward to seeing you in Atlanta, and look forward to seeing how OmniCube continues to grow.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you all at Atlanta next week, and take care.
See you soon. Thank you. Okay. To wrap things up this month, I'm thrilled to be joined by recurring guests of the pod, friends of the pod, Brandon Bellegarde and Tyler Falk, Drafting Marketplace. You can find them online, draftingmarketplace.com. Probably two of the most recognizable people in our industry. And thank you guys. Thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
We're
excited to be here.
Yeah. And the reason I had you back, and we'll get into that. I wanted to have you back because when you were on the pod a few months ago, you teased something big was coming. You wouldn't give me the scoop. You gave it to other podcasts, other magazines. Now I'm like late to the game, but I will still have you on, and we're going to cover what that big news was, because it is big and exciting news. It's great for the industry. But for those who missed it, shame on you for missing it. But for those who missed it, if I could hit up both of you guys to kind of give me a real quick background of who you are and what is Drafting Marketplace. So, Brandon, you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Brandon Bellegarde. This is Tyler Falk. We've been friends since in utero. Our parents were friends and neighbors, and the friendship just never died.
Love it.
Thank goodness. But we came together back in 2017 and started a project where we have created an online platform that allows glazing contractors and drafters to work together. Glazing contractors to source their shop drawings quickly and easily online. That's pretty much who we are and what we do. Tyler, did I miss anything?
No. It stemmed from conversations that we had about me griping and whining about things in the industry that I wished were different. And so, we just came up with those fixes, and here we are. So
we're a big fan of not complaining about it, but doing something about it. So
that's it.
That's right.
That's
right.
And I think that's how. So first and foremost came Drafting Marketplace, and that was to get people, the drafting, needs that they would have, glazing contractors, and you had this marketplace, and it's going great.
Correct.
And then what you had teased before is you had a new service coming out, and I believe the new service is now you have engineers. So you have an engineering platform. So you want to talk about that? I'm very curious because I saw the press release, I saw the info, but curious to hear it from you guys and what your angle was and how it's all going to work.
Absolutely. Tyler, you want to take it?
I'll start, and you can jump in with anything I forget. So during the journey of bringing Drafting Marketplace to glazing contractors about shop drawings, during demos and meetings with them, a question that we got asked a lot was, do you guys offer engineering? And we're like, well, no, we're just focusing on the shop drawings. And then the next one, we'd get that question, man, if you guys had engineering, that'd be great. So it kind of stemmed from, and then Brandon will tell you here in a little bit, he actually has some friend in the engineering industry. And so we talked to him a little bit, and that just seemed like the logical next step, is because, all your shop drawings got to be stamped and calced. So why not offer them the next step? So
I don't think you're giving us enough credit. Certainly not giving yourself enough credit here. We set out in 2017 and we sat down and we said, okay, who's our target audience? Who are we going to offer these services to? What problems are we going to solve? We listed out what we thought was 100% of the problems, and then we created solutions for 20% of those. In that original plan was engineering. And that was and that's because of Tyler. He's just too humble and modest to say anything. The reason we launched it as soon as we did was we kept getting people asking us about the engineering services. Like, when are you guys going to have this? When are you guys going to have this? And so that's why that became the priority versus some other stuff that we're working on right now.
It accelerated our plans versus created our plans for sure. But it was in the works. We just we bumped it up in the queue because we had the demand for it. So
So shop drawings, now the engineering, and now all at draftingmarketplace.com, or is it a different website?
Correct.
Nope.
All at draftingmarketplace.com.
And how's it going? I mean, what are we, about a month into the engineering add-on to this?
Yeah, I think so. A month and a half in. It's going well. We have I'm not sure that we should mention the names or not, but we have some pretty big name engineering firms that have signed up. We, just like we did with our drafters and our glazing contractors, we went around we've introduced software to market before, so we know that you have to get the early adopters, moderate to early adopters, moderate to late adopters, and then late adopters. So we went around the country and have we've had targeted conversations with engineers, glazing contractors, and drafters. And so we picked out what we believed were the best based off of their standing in the community and our working relationship, and we added them in the beginning.
Gotcha.
So we now have I think, what was it? Is it this month or last month that was our biggest month to date?
Nice. All right.
It was last month, I believe.
Last month, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Last complete month, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
This is exciting. So draftingmarketplace.com is where you can find it. I've got Brandon and Tyler with me. This was something, again, that you guys had teased. And when I say you're the most popular or most recognizable people in the industry, if you're listening to this, just imagine two of the most glorious beards that have ever been like grown on a human. These guys rock them beautifully. I could try for 100 years. I could never come close.
I don't believe that for a second.
No,
Thank you.
I don't know. It's awesome. So I look for, at Glassbuild, you will see these guys walking around, and there are no two guys with beards as good as these guys. That's for sure.
Thank you.
And
You
Yeah,
just appreciate it.
and I'm happy for you. And I love the fact that, again, everything that you're creating in the add-on, and you talked about this in the last podcast about that whole solution space. And I think it's brilliant that you recognized, okay, we can do shop drawings, but what would be the next logical step? And I think it's great. And so I assume feedback so far has been positive.
It has.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we've had
Yeah.
lots of feedback. We've gotten to meet with, Tyler, I'm going to monopolize the conversation here. We've met with so many amazing people across the country. We've been traveling for a year now, and we have a feedback model built into our platform, so anyone can give us feedback at any point in time, and then we take that and we prioritize the feedback and we work through it, and we make the platform better. We every single week, our CTO, myself, and Tyler meet to review that stuff, and then we disseminate that amongst our team to start working on how we're going to solve for those problems.
Love it.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Tyler.
like he was talking about, we had our plan of, here's all the problems. Let's start with this 20%, and then we kind of had a plan as how we were going to do it, and then, basically, with the module that he's talking about, we can take the suggestions of the actual industry and implement what people want and need at that particular time versus what we think the industry needs or wants right then. So
love it. And this theme kind of plays in. Before you guys, I had Merv Campbell from Omni out in California, and they're a machinery supplier. They help supply carts to move heavy glass and panels around, and he talked about the whole voice of the customer. I want to know what the customer wants. I want to know what I can do to help. And this flies right into it. And it is fascinating how, quite frankly, and you two are professionals, you've been around. It's amazing how many companies don't listen to the customer. They do what they think is right and not. And again, it's fascinating. I have back-to-back guests that have talked about, we want to know what can help, the end user. I love what you guys are doing. This is great.
Thank you. I think pride really gets in the way in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be more proud of the fact that we listen than I am of being right. Or I digress.
Yeah, well, no, I think ego and pride, fly into it. There's no doubt.
Sure.
So it's great that you're doing it. So again, draftingmarketplace.com, you can get the shop drawings and now the engineering module. What's next? Or do I have to listen to somebody else's podcast in a year to find out what the next is, and also find out on somebody else's blog? But can you give me a hint? Is there something next, or are you guys going to chill for a while?
There is something next.
I love it.
Well, how do we give a hint here?
You don't have to. I just now I know. Now I know.
There are two really big things that are coming through over the next 12 months. One of them we think will occur by the end of Q1 of next year, and then the other big thing is we'll hopefully be ready to launch by Glassbuild, if not sooner, glass build of next year.
Wonderful, wonderful, fantastic,
yeah.
fantastic. Kudos. And before I know you're both busy. And before I let you go, I have to ask, Glass Build is coming up. Some people that will listen to this will be listening to it on the way to Glass Build, and looking forward to seeing everybody there. Some people will be listening to this post Glass Build, either coming home or they just listen to it, a week after the podcast comes out. But you guys had created a promo video for Glass Build, and you're expert marketers. You have a marketing company. You are unbelievable. You created probably the best Glass Build promo ever. You got professional goats to get involved in this video. I mean, it was just absolutely unbelievable. I gotta ask, I mean, you two are such fun-loving guys, and I don't know you that well, but I know you well enough that you like life and you live life to the fullest. How did you come up with this? Hey, we're going to go shoot this video out on the farm. We're just going to shoot the crap and have a good time and promote Glass Build. How did this all come about? Very curious.
Well, that's a great question. Actually, if you check your phone right now, you will see that I anticipated you asking this question. So we just sent you a little video that lets you in on some of our cutting edge technology that we use to generate these ideas.
A little behind the scenes here.
Oh my.
Yeah. I'll let you watch that on your own.
Okay.
And but the real truth about it is that we know that marketing and advertising done well connects a consumer that has a need with an entertaining way to learn more about that need and the solution to that need. And so all we do is we just try to be we try to create stuff that we would want to watch. That specific video I called Tyler one day. I'd been working on my farm and was coming back from the hardware store, and I said, I have this idea. And then that's how things usually start. One of us is like, we have this idea. And then we take it from there, and we let the idea germinate and see where it goes, and that's it. Ideas I think are living.
Yeah, usually one of us will say, well, how about this, and then they're like, oh yeah, but then we could do this, but then what if we did this? And so with the two, us on our own, I don't know if we would be as good as what we are together, because one feeds the other. And as far as shooting the video, the goats were fine. Getting Brandon to do what he was supposed to do, that was the tough part.
It's difficult. It is.
Amazing. It's easier to herd goats than Brandon.
That's right.
That's classic. I love it. Well, I can't wait to watch. I did get it. I can't wait to watch the behind the scenes, on here. I mean, that's going to be exciting. So thank you. And so I'm excited to see you guys at Glass Build. For you guys, you've been to a couple shows, you've been to some BECs. What are you most looking forward to at Glass Build this week?
I mean, we kind of talked about this the other day. I mean, obviously seeing, folks like you, Max, actually getting to face to face, getting to hang out with people. We've got a ton of friends at the NGA at, just all throughout the industry, and groups that we talk to, we text, we chat with, LinkedIn messages, whatever. But nothing beats the the face-to-face interaction and getting to hang out. And also, I genuinely, it's exciting to bring what we've built to people and see their reaction face to face and hear what they think about it. And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Love it. Brandon?
We're two super, I say super unique. We try to live life the way we want to live. What I tell Tyler often is I refuse to be the prisoner and warden of my own prison, right? I'm going to be who I am and do what I do, and period. If that makes money, then great. If it doesn't, great. I prefer it to make money, but and so approaching the glass and glazing industry, specifically at Glass Build, 2022 was our first year. There was some trepidation as to, not our first year in the industry, but our first year at Glass Build, there was some trepidation as to whether people would accept us for who we are, and these quirky, strange people. And I have just been overwhelmingly encouraged by everyone that I've encountered in the industry. And there is one person, I'm not going to mention this person's name, but there is one person who hasn't been encouraging, but everyone else has been amazing. And so we've made amazing friendships. I mean, we genuinely, as Tyler said, talk to people that we've met and haven't stopped talking to them since Glass Build 2022.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that blew me away with you guys, is the little community that you've built in such a short time of people that you're friends with, and you could tell that there's a genuine friendship there, and what I like about you guys is you're friends with people that would have no need for what Drafting Marketplace offers. You are legitimately interested in what they're doing, even though they're a fabricator or they're a equipment manufacturer, whatever the case may be. You've just developed friendships with them, and you never know when things change and what could happen, but it's genuine. It really comes across genuine.
Yeah, I mean, the people in the industry make it easy. I mean, it's kind of a broken record. Everybody says it, but everybody says it because it's true. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I hadn't been to a ton of trade shows before Glass Build, and so we got there, and yeah, the reception that we got from everyone, the open arms that people had, it's awesome. So it's easy to develop those genuine relationships for sure.
Love it.
I'll say one more thing about that, and it's that you said we built a community and that with people who are, or we've been a part of building a community. You said we've been a part of it. With people who are not in our directly, they're not going to be consumers of ours.
Right.
One of the things that we've really tried to focus on in life in general is that, everyone's got a pesky addiction to food, water, and shelter. We've all got to meet those addictions. Let's not do it in a slimy, sleazy way. Let's do it in a way that allows us to naturally be who we are. And our number one core value is to be excellent to each other. Our second core value is to be better tomorrow than we were today, while inspiring others to do the same. And so if we are focusing on those two things every single day, it will be the lens in which we approach our relationship development. So if we're not trying to sell people stuff, then we can actually develop a relationship. And if there's a need there, then great. But really, we're there to kindness begets kindness, and violence begets violence. And so we want to beget kindness. So that's it.
Yeah. You're jamming. You're jamming. This is fantastic. Love what you're doing, and looking forward to seeing you guys. And again, Brandon Bellegarde, Tyler Falk, Drafting Marketplace. Find them online, draftingmarketplace.com. Shop drawings. Now the engineering module. And who knows what else could be coming down the pike, and they're open to your ideas, folks. So feel free to, to let them hear it. You will recognize these two. There's no two better beards in our industry, maybe in all of the United States, probably. So look for them on the floor at Glass Build. Reach out to them, guys. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it was a quick one, but I appreciate the updates.
Absolutely. Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, guys. Okay, good one. In the books. I'm on my way to Glass Build. I hope to see everybody there. And if you're listening to this post Glass Build, hopefully you had a good show. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you either at Glass Conference in South Carolina, BEC in Nashville, any of the great events that are coming up in 2024. As always, TV time. What I'm watching, Lupin, or I would call it Lupin because I'm a bad American. Lupin on Netflix. Third season is out, and it's really, really good. It's just a good show. I like these shows that keep me engaged while I'm on the treadmill, and that does it. Mystery, ins and outs of trickery sort of thing. Lupin on Netflix. Also Super Pumped, the story of Uber. It was on Showtime for a while, then Showtime yanked it. It was in purgatory. Nobody knew where to find it. It was nowhere. And Netflix has picked it up. And I'm fascinated by the inside baseball thing of companies, the way they run. Obviously, Uber is one very interesting one. And so I'm a couple episodes into that. Pretty good. So Super Pumped on Netflix and Lupin on Netflix. Those are my TV hits. And hopefully you've checked them out, or will check them out. Other than that, I will see you here in a few weeks with another podcast. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.